Hi there, this is Alfred Lyon from AB Tools, and today on Instagram I asked what YouTube video you guys would like to see. And one of the offerings was order process. You know, what does it take to order a tool from AB Tools, in so much as how do you contact us, what information do we need, and what kind of and then where does it go from there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce you to two of the top quote guys, and they're going to tell you what we actually do need. Okay, so this guy here is Larry. Go ahead, Larry.
Hello. We're looking at what happens when we receive a quote request, and we just had a quote request come in from I believe an end user, and I'm just starting to take a look at it now. Almost before I even start looking at what kind of tool they're looking for, I look to see if they have their material listed, because I'll want to ask that in my first reply. We like to let you know right as soon as we receive a quote request that we've received it, so that you know that we're working on it. And I don't see the materials showing up, so that I make a mental note to ask about the material when I respond. And I start looking at the general form of the tool. I look at the way it's laid out, see if I can figure out the rough sizes. I try to figure out if it's going to be solid carbide or carbide tipped. And furthermore, I look at this and I think of how I'm going to draw the cutter and make it clear, so when we go out to the shop and talk with Alfred or Tom to find out what all requirements we need to have on the print so that it's actually manufacturable. So the material is
very key, and not only so that we can generate geometry, but also so that we know, like, for the quantity of flutes, you know, for how many flutes it's going to have, and the kind of strength and chip room that we're going to need. So that's very important. So in this particular case, does it show the material? I can't remember if you said it does.
I have not found it on the sketch.
Right.
I'm going to look back at the email before I respond, and it's in the email.
Okay.
They're responding, so I'll just let the gentleman know that we received their quote request, and we're going to move forward with making a quote.
So in this case, they did have a sketch, but sometimes they also send solid models. What are the kind of files that you guys can open?
So we can open almost any CAD generated file. PDF files are good too. John likes PDF files because he doesn't have the 3D CAD capability that we have in here. We can open SolidWorks 2018 native files. That's always nice. Step files, Parasolid files are good for 3D. We don't so much like IGES files. We have trouble importing IGES. They're just almost always come in with geometry that's not correct, and because frequently we don't have a drawing to go with it, we don't know it's not correct. We can open DXF files and DWG files. SolidWorks is really good at helping us take a 2D drawing and make it a 3D drawing. Then we go out on the floor and we'll discuss it with Alfred or Tom, whoever. You know, if it's a carbide tip, we'll go to Tom first. Almost everything goes to Alfred, whether it's carbide tipped or solid, and discuss if our design is reasonable. And then he'll advise the number of flutes that we can cut into it. And then we take that information back, we finish our drawing, make a quote, and send it on to the customer or the distributor.
All right. So this guy over here, this is Quan, and I know a lot of you guys have dealt with him because he's been with us for a long time and been doing quotes for a long time. And we're going to be talking to him about this job that I'm working on right now out in the shop. And so ultimately what we received is something that kind of looks like this. And so he's going to kind of tell you how it came about. Did he get a phone call, or did he get email, or whatever? How did it happen, Quan?
Okay, first I got an email from a customer requesting a quote, 2 pieces of the key cutter, and they sent in along with the print of the tool drawing. And first I questioned the part material, and they gave it to me. In this case, it's 13/8 stainless steel. And so I would redraw the cutter per our standard based on the blanks that we have in-house. This is what I redraw in our SolidWorks CAD. Created a solid model and then created a tool drawing.
Right.
And then I bring it out to the shop. Of course, discuss with Alf everything is good, we're ready to make.
All right. So now that you guys know what happens on the inside here, we'll take you out to once it gets onto my clipboard. All right. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
So then they walk it out here, and if it's solid, if it's carbide tipped, of course, it's going to go over to Tom's side of the shop. If it's solid carbide, then almost everything's going to get placed on this thing here, and it's going to have a rider like this, basically laying out a lot of general information, and then it'll have the customer approved print. And with that, you know, there'll be some lead time. And generally what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll make sure that we have the material in stock. So we have all sorts of, these are turned bodies and dovetails, stuff like that. We have metric shanks, metric carbide, solid carbide. All of this is centerless ground, finished ground rod, cut to length, all different sizes. And so if we don't have it, then I'm just gonna buy it. And or order it rather. And then we also have made solid carbide preforms. So that means this is solid carbide, but we can quickly turn it into a key seat based on the specs that need to happen. So all of this shelf, this is all full of solid carbide. So that's got a lot of carbide there. So then after that, once it gets down to my neck of the woods here, after it's all been ordered and whatnot, then I'll program everything from this point. So, you know, basically what you see is this two-dimensional drawing. So I'll come over here and open up my laptop, and I'll draw whatever the job may be. In this case, I'm drawing a Picatinny cutter, and it's a special one, and I've just barely started. That's why there's no cutting edges on it or anything. So I'll create the program, put it on a stick like this, and then I'll send it to the guys or myself or my son, and we'll load it into the machine. So once it's loaded into the machine, then all the geometry's in there. And the way I came about getting the geometry is just, you know, hey, they're cutting 13/8 stainless. I decided with Quan that 8 flutes is the best for that, and because it's stainless, I decided it should be helical, and that 30-degree helix would work the best for this special T-slot cutter. So if you notice right here, I didn't finish the neck length. And in the drawing here, it's got this big long neck. And in this case, what I did was I took it over to a different machine while that was running. The order was only for 2 pieces. So I took it over to a different machine while that was running. And on this machine here, grinding the neck. It's actually finishing it right now. So it's still rough rolling the neck in there. And here's one of the finished ones right here. So this will ship out today. So that's the entire process.